Okay, good evening, everybody. Good evening and welcome to our call for tonight. If you can hear me, please put the letter Y in the question box. Let me just make sure that I have the right mic turned on. All right. Tom, Craig, Stephen, okay, George, good evening. Okay, thanks everybody. And we're going to go ahead and just dive right in. If you have any questions, please feel free to add them in. I'm going to have a few comments just before we start the recording. As a reminder, you can still get First Steps with YouTube ads, plrshow.com/FSYTA. And if you're an Ultimate Insider, that is your selection for this month. And so that selection is in the member area if I've not added to your account already. So once again, if you're an Ultimate Insider, you don't have to go to the URL. If you're not yet, you can go to the plrshow.com/FSYTA. You'll still be able to get First Step with YouTube ads at the launch price. All right, and on Tuesday, I'm going to be releasing Aweber automations, and this is actually going to be kind of I did a bonus for Jim Landers, who's an Ultimate Insider, and I did a workshop. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add the graphics to that, and I might add in some additional training to that. And once again, now this particular course is going to be free to Ultimate Insiders. So, but everyone else, make sure that you check the community, plrshow.com community. I'm going to have a discount code on the launch day, so you'll be able to get it on Tuesday. And typically, I do that at 14% off. Excuse me, sorry about that, for the entire day. And again, that's if you're not yet an Ultimate Insider. And if you're not, you can still become an Ultimate Insider. Go to the plrshow.com/insiders. So before we get into the recording, I want to talk about what this is about. And this is actually the Thursday night training that I do for Ultimate Insiders. It is also the New Marketer Workshop, which some people paid for separately. And basically, what we're doing over 52 weeks is we are building out your online brand. And this is especially for people who are not necessarily looking to make their money in the make money online market. You don't want to sell in the JVZoo Warrior Plus ClickBank world, right? You may not want to sell to those particular marketers, but maybe you're interested in teaching and selling to people on business. And so this is a PLR course, if you have that version, and it gives you the opportunity to teach teach your customers a way of building a brand without necessarily having to obey the rules of the make money online market. And so that's really what this is about if you're coming and you're maybe new to this. And so understanding that you're not necessarily going to be looking to sell to other marketers, well, the rules are going to be slightly different. And most of the strategy that I see that sells extremely well, that people tend to go and buy, if you try to implement it, and you try to implement the strategies that are typically sold, the most popular ones outside the make money online market, they only work partially, and they don't necessarily build loyalty with people, because a lot of it really does depend on how often you mail, how often you are, I'd say, fairly aggressive. And some people just don't necessarily want that kind of marketing unless they're other marketers. And so if that's not the market you're selling in, you do need to have another method, and you need to be able to be direct, but you need to find a way to build trust in another way, and that's really what this is all about. And I call the set of principles Extreme Business Makeover. And it's another way of being able to think about it. So what is the Extreme Business Makeover? First, it's a set of 12 principles. And principle 1 is positioning yourself as an educator, going into a market, deciding that you're going to be a reliable source of information. And if that's kind of an intangible concept in and of itself, but it's a mindset. So whatever sub-market you're going into, let's say that you're going to be teaching RV owners how to create an online business. You're going to go into that market. You're going to go into that market teaching. And you're not going to go into that market saying, I'm the end-all, be-all, I'm the expert, I'm the guy you should be listening to, I'm the woman you should be listening to. That's not the way. You're going to go in saying, I'm going to educate, I'm going to be a solid source of education, because you don't need any permission for that. You don't need any proof for that. All you really need to do is to go in as a teacher. How are you going to be a teacher? Well, you're going to do a weekly workshop. So saying that you're going to be an educator I need to put some feet on that. And I need to have some parameters. And so basically you're going to do a free weekly workshop. And it does not matter where you start teaching. What's going to happen is people are going to start coming and they're going to tell you what they want to learn. And so you don't have to teach them necessarily what anybody else is teaching them other than what they're telling you they want to learn. And sometimes they're not going to tell you directly, right? They're not going to, you don't need to always ask them. So, I'm not a fan of necessarily, surveying and polling people and say, hey, how do you want me to teach you? Sometimes, when you are going to, let's say, you're going into a market, you've got to be the one to decide on what it is they need to learn. Right? A long time ago, I think it was Mike Koenigs who did Traffic Geyser used to say that there ought to be 20 questions that your market is asking, and then there are 20 questions they should be asking. And sometimes you have to teach on the 20 questions they should be asking, right? But you're going to do a weekly workshop. You're going to build a product snowball. If you have PLR, that should be easy. Basically, every time you do a weekly workshop, you make an offer. Do a workshop, make an offer. Do a workshop, make an offer. Do a workshop, make an offer. You're not always going to sell a gazillion copies, right? But you're going to get in the habit of asking for the sale. So every time you do a free workshop, at the end, you tell people, I've got something that'll help you, and you make an offer to them. And you don't even always have to send them to the sales page. You can send them straight to the checkout. I know some people, and I've felt this, sometimes you get bogged down by a sales page. And you may kind of feel, how many of you have felt like you'd like to get started selling at times, but then sometimes you feel like, well, I don't really know how to write copy, or my copy's in the way, I don't know how to make a good looking sales page, so I never get around to making an offer. If that's you, this is not going to be on the recording, and I'm the only one who can see your answers. If you've ever felt that, please put the letter Y in the question box. If you've ever kind of felt like, boy, I really want to sell something, but the whole sales page thing gets on my nerve, it gets in my way, and so I never get around to making an offer. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do. But you're going to do this, you're going to build a product snowball. And so you are going to basically and again, at the end of your talk, if you don't want to send people to a sales page, you make the case and you say, hey, here's what I'm going to be sending you to. I'm going to be sending you to a course on YouTube ads. Here's what it's going to explain to you, and here's what it's going to do. Here's a link where you can get it, and you can get it at a 10% discount. And you put your discount code inside of there in the shopping cart. You send them straight to the shopping cart. Don't worry about the sales page. You take care of that during your workshop. Develop a strategic marketing framework, basically making sure that all your offers have a USP, making sure that they all have an upsell or cross-sell, making sure that in everything you do, you're building your list, making sure you're always looking for opportunities to partner and affiliate. So that's your strategic marketing framework. This week, we're going to talk about creating a content factory. This is a wrap-up session, and we're actually on session 51 of 52. And when we start talking about creating a content factory, it's a unique perspective from which you're going to be marketing your products. Build a massive network. So you're always looking to get people who are going to be the people that are going to promote for you. You're always looking for those people, and you are building it. You are establishing a list of affiliates. You are getting that list of, we called it at the very beginning of this, the Dream 100, right? So that's way back in probably session 4, I think, of building out your Dream 100. Becoming a media mogul, mastering one form of traffic, and deciding that you're going to, let's say you're going to do YouTube, that you are going to master it. You're not going to worry about LinkedIn. I'm not saying you're not going to have a profile, but you're going to focus on YouTube. You're going to master YouTube. You're going to buy the $300, $400, $500 course on YouTube, and you're going to stick with it until you know how to do it. And you're not going to worry about Facebook. You're not going to worry about Instagram. You're not going to worry about LinkedIn. You're not going to worry about any of that stuff until you master YouTube. That's just an example. You can master any form you want. If it's going to be solo ads, whatever it is, mastering one form of traffic, becoming a media mogul. then getting into production mode so that everything you got to do, and this is really kind of the hard part, but you have to do it. You have to get into production mode. In fact, that's what session 53 is going to be about, the wrap-up session, which is how do I make all this work? How do I get it all down? I'm not going to be talking about productivity, but I am talking about basically getting into a workable system so that everything you got to do in order to market your information product happens. And it's not easy to do, but you have to do it. Build a learning center. This is going to be first of all, it's going to be your high ticket offer. It's also going to be your continuity offer. This is why we're doing all this, because marketers need to have, and you don't know you need to have it until you have it. You don't know you need to have this until you make one sale. You need to have a learning center. You got to have an offer where people pay you either monthly or annually that recurs. And you are building a list of basically paying subscribers. Creating community around your ideas. Basically, the people that interact, and I always like to say this, don't think that this means you have to build a Facebook group. You don't. And I'm not a big fan of Facebook groups anyway. People who make them work, I like them. I'm a part of a couple of them. I don't go there often because I don't like being on Facebook. But you can create a community around your ideas, but it does have to be around your ideas. And so if you don't build it around your ideas, that group is not necessarily going to be loyal to you. They're more loyal to being bored on Facebook. And so you got to get that group into a position where their loyalty is to you and your ideas. Raise and build an affiliate army. You're going to turn your customers into affiliates. Again, longer term strategy, but one you have to do. And then defining and promoting your core ideas. And what you're looking at, these 12 things, Extreme Business Makeover, these are my core ideas. And so these are the things that I believe in. And of course, yes, you can scale up and get paid traffic. Paid up and use paid traffic. I'm not saying paid traffic doesn't work, but I'm saying even before you get to that point, these are the things that need to be working in order for you to make paid traffic. Now, I know that people may make paid traffic work without doing all this, but you will eventually have to come back and do this. And so what I'm saying to you is whether you choose to, do this last, or you still do have to do this. You have to build out your brand, and people have to come to you because of that brand. And so I really hope that you are thinking about your own core principles. What are your core principles? If you had to state them, could you state them? Could you state what are your core principles about your sub-niche? What do you believe? If you are a Facebook teacher, what do you believe about Facebook? What are the undeniable rules that are true all the time that you believe in, that other people may or may not believe in? You need to have some core principles. Are you a YouTube marketer? You need to have some core principles about YouTube marketing. Are you is your niche, let's say, dog walkers? You need to have some core principles about being a dog walker. Whatever it is, whatever your market is, you need to have core principles. And once again, these core principles, these are my core principles, and I believe in these, and these are the things that I teach. If you were to cut me open, if you were to get me on some kind of call, I was just on a call not too long ago, and what came out of me were these things, because I believe in them. And you need to have some things you believe in, that you teach, that all your products are going to be based on, that all of your interactions are going to be based on, that you take a stand on these things and you don't deviate from them. So think about, what are your core principles? State them. And you know what? Today, you don't have to have, now listen, when I started this 52-week session, I had 8. And they became 12 that I could state openly. So what I'm saying to you is that whatever you have today, write them down, start talking about them, do a video about them, write a blog post about them, make your next podcast about them. Tonight, do a blog post about, these are the undeniable principles. These things are what I believe in all the time. Whatever your core principles are, and give them a name. Right? Give them some kind of name. I did not decide on, and you'll hear me struggle with this throughout the 52 weeks, but I eventually came around to, okay, these 12 principles are called the Extreme Business Makeover. And so you can come up with a name later, but I bet if I were to sit down and talk to you, whatever your niche is, I bet there's some things you believe that other people don't. There's some things you believe that are always true. Start talking about those things. Start outlining your Kindle book on these things. These are your core principles, the thing you believe. So, as I said, be thinking about your core principles. All right, so now let's get into the recording. Now, all of that was just for the marketer, right? So the rest of this, I'm actually recording for those of you who have the PLR 2, the new marketer workshop. So let's go ahead and dive in. So we're going to be talking about Principle 5 tonight, create a content factory, and talking about creating fully unique content. And I want to talk about personalized content versus unique content. And there's a lot of buzz right now. And you may have even heard it about how good the content that people are writing with AI. And it is very interesting, I think, because, if you can use a machine to do some of the writing, then, it's been said, well, maybe we don't need all these people writing. But here's what I'm going to tell you about AI. AI can create unique content. There's no doubt about that. And that content can be grammatically correct. You can work with the content that AI creates to make sure it's factually accurate. No doubt about that. You can true about that. You can write it in a particular voice. It can be witty, and you can have it to write for you in a specific voice. But whether or not you choose to use it to create your own articles or content, you've got to move people by your personal connection. See, these articles are going to be, even if they're unique, they're going to be like everything else on the internet. You know why? Because AI can only go and get other things on the internet. So basically, it's going to be like something else on the internet. Even though AI knows how to crunch it and make it together to put it unique, it only has a limited opportunity to make a personal connection. You need to have personalized content. That's what will connect to your customer. You must personalize. You must personalize to monetize. You've got to do that in addition to your unique content. So let's talk about direct response, because that is basically, that's really what everybody who's selling any kind of information on the internet is basically using. When you start talking about copy, you're basically talking about direct response. Now, direct response has its own personal element, and I think you know what it is, but I'm going to spell it out to you so that you understand. There are unspoken rules about direct response that what you got to do with your customer is you have to get them to visualize what their life is going to be like with your product. If you can create vision, I think most recently, Ben Settle has been talking about this, that you've got to be able to create vision, but that has always been the case, that if you can put that picture in your customer's head of them with your product and them succeeding with your product, you just about have the sale. You got to get them to visualize. That's basically what your copy has to do. And so you can do this directly sometimes by showing them in a picture. So sometimes that's why sometimes people put some of these. Have you ever seen some of these images and it looks like they've got a really strange looking smile and they've got a thumbs up. You think, boy, that's really corny. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to necessarily work consciously. It's working on you subconsciously, because basically it's saying this person is happy with this product, right? This person is ecstatic about this product. That's all it's trying to communicate. And so that's why people put those images there, and you're looking at them thinking, boy, this isn't going to make me buy it, but it's not made to make you buy at a conscious level. It's made to make you process this and think, boy, this person is happy and I'll be happy if I buy this. You'll hear this done in webinars. You probably heard this. And anybody who's pitching at a higher ticket product, what they're going to do is they're going to tell you, hey, this is me, this is my 4 kids, this is how we go to Europe, this is what we do during the course of the day, this is how we hang out, these are our friends. And so basically you probably see that in a lot of sales webinars. It's not because it doesn't work, it's because it does. That's what direct response is. That is classic direct response. You have a personal decision to make, whether or not you want to sell like that. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying you can or can't. You can decide to sell like that. You don't have to. And so what I will tell you is this. What we have been talking about over this 52 weeks is we've been talking about building trust. And I'm saying to you that this kind of direct response is incongruent to building the kind of trust we're talking about by doing a weekly workshop. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not even saying don't put it on your sales page. What I'm saying to you is that when you build the kind of trust that we are talking about in a weekly workshop, then if you've done your job right, you can send people directly to a checkout page and they'll buy it. Or even better, you can put a direct response sales letter together and people won't even read it. Because when a market has really done their job right, you're not reading the sales page. They've already established a trust with you. All they really have to do is give you a general idea of what it is you're doing, and you're in. And so that's basically what you've got to do. You've got to build that level of trust, and you can do that through a number of different ways. But let's continue to talk about direct response. Direct response relies on psychological trigger. And here's what the trigger is. Do you want the lifestyle that the seller is showing you? That's basically what the seller is telling you. Do you want this lifestyle? They may not say those words directly, but that's basically what the copy is saying to you. Do you want what I have? Do you want, I'm showing you this life that the product is giving me. Do you want it? And so that's what direct response is supposed to do. Here's what else direct response does. This is what scarcity and urgency does. If you don't act now, you could easily miss out on it. Now, you probably recognize this. You probably recognize this from sales pages. You probably recognize this from webinars. That is what is happening at a deep psychological level with direct response. And it works well if somebody's coming to your page and they're meeting you for the first time, it's going to work. If you got a decent product and you send traffic, you get an A-list copywriter to write your sales page, and they've got all these things going on, and people come to that page, people are going to buy it. Right? Now, here's what I'll tell you. It's overkill for the people that you've made a connection to. And so you might feel that sometimes that, you may have connected to somebody that you go to their webinar and you think, well, okay, just please, let's just get to the sales pitch. I know you don't have to tell me all this stuff. You don't have to try to, you don't have to tell me how wonderful you are. I know your wife, I know your kids, all this stuff. Can we just get to the end of this? And you probably felt like that before with somebody that you know. Now with somebody that you don't know, you're listening. But if you know them already, and if you already trust them, you're thinking, boy, can we just please get on with it? And so you're just wanting to hear the justification for the price. And so you can get off the webinar, right? Is the price justified? Can I justify the price based on what I think? I will tell you this: there is a time and place for this kind of selling. So don't think I'm saying you can't use direct response. There is a time and place for it. Now, in the case where you've been doing a weekly workshop and building trust with a group of people that is growing, you may or may not need it. And so what you're going to want to do during the course of your daily emails and in your workshops is to establish a personal connection. That's the content you want to do. And what that personal connection does is deepen the trust. That's all you're trying to do, deepen the trust. Now, I'm not saying that you get in your emails and in social media, you tell your whole life story, right? That's not what that means. I'm going to tell you what this means as we get into this. But you're trying to get people to understand that, listen, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I can be trusted. You can count on me. And so what is this personal connection? What is it? We've been calling this a content factory, and it's based on your own perspective. John Reese, and for those of you who go back a little ways, John Reese was the first person who coined this phrase content factory. And he did a course in the 2010s called Traffic Secrets 2.0. I think it was like $2,000. I'm looking at it on my shelf right now. And Content Factory, he was talking about, well, how do you manufacture content? How do we take ideas, turn it into content that will become traffic? That was what traffic, and actually, if you can get your hands on an old copy of Traffic Secrets, it's a dynamic product, right? You can probably still get it on eBay or something like that. What we're talking about here, though, is we're talking about the same concept. How do we manufacture concept? We're going to do that with a twist, though. We're talking about taking what makes you unique and taking that USP and making it your point of view, right? And so you start creating content, you start marketing products from that unique perspective so that your customer can make sense of the world in your sub-niche. That's why you do a workshop. That's why you position yourself as an educator. You are here to make sense of the world for a certain segment of the people. Certain people are going to come to you and they're not going to catch your vibe. They're not going to believe in your core principles, and you're not going to make sense of the world for them. But for certain people, when somebody makes sense of the world for you, you need to go ahead and you need to invest with that person. And the same thing is going to be true with you. You're going to make sense of the world for somebody, and then they're going to invest with you because of that. It's like having a content-based USP. And basically, I'm going to ask you, what's the lens through which your customers should see the world? How should they see the world in your sub-market? If your sub-market is walking dogs, how should those dog walkers see the world? Are you making sense of the world for them? When you do your weekly workshop, you should be making sense of the whole thing. If your market is, let's say, senior citizens, first-time online business, how can you make sense of the world for them? What can you do to make the world make sense for them so they can see that the way you look at things is the way they need to look at things? All your content then goes through that lens, okay? Because again, anybody can create AI content, right? Anybody can get AI and create unique content. That's not the game. The game is personalized. So the only way you're going to be able to set yourself apart in this world where people are basically going to, I'm not saying they're cheating. It's just the way it is. But you're not going to be able to compete and pump out content unless you do it where your content is rare, and your content is going to be rare if it's personalized. So what's the key to the content factory connection I'm talking about? There's a key to the content factory connection. You got to connect your why to the customer's why. That's the key. Now, I've seen this explained in two marketers' works. One is Simon Sinek. He has a book and a video called Start With Why. And I think you can probably still find it on the internet. You can still find it on YouTube. It's called Start With Why. You got to connect your why with the customer's why. And Carolyn, I think it's Zook. She did a course called Better Branding Course that took about 6 years ago. It's a great course. And basically in that course, Carolyn expounded that through Simon Sinek, that you're going to build an entire brand if you can just connect the reason that customers want to solve their problem is the same reason why you're creating it. That's what you got to do. You got to connect that reason you're creating it with the reason they're trying to solve the problem. If you can do that, you're going to have a segment of people that are going to be connected to you. Doesn't matter how great of a marketer other people are going to be. You're going to be building that connection. Here's what Carolyn states. She states having a mission. She states having a mission to that segment is based on why you're selling what you're selling, right? What's your mission in your sub-niche? What is your mission? If I were to ask you, could you state it? Could you state it openly? You should be able to. What are you on a mission? And one of the things that's going to separate you from everybody else in your sub-niche, even the people who can pump out, let's say, AI content, is your mission. That's what will make you you. That will make you not me. That will make you like nobody else in the sub-niche. Why do you exist as a business? Why do you exist? Why is your business here? Why is that? Now, I'm not saying don't go off in the corner and don't come out until you come up with this. I'm saying keep talking about this in your videos, in your podcast, in your blog posts. Keep talking about it, because at some point you will find your voice and you'll know it'll happen. And you may already know it, right? You may already be at that point. But you may just have to get out there and start teaching And you need to start stating what your mission is. And before you know it, you're going to, oh, you know what, that wasn't quite right. That wasn't quite it. This doesn't quite resonate with why I'm doing this, why my business is still out there. Why do you exist? Why do the individual things that you sell contribute to the mission? Why are you selling this stuff? Right? The stuff you're selling. What is it going to do? How does it help them to accomplish what you're trying to help them to accomplish? Now, understand something. None of this means don't be market driven. So, don't think that you could just sell whatever you want to. It's just based on your mission and you're just out here. Nope. It's still got to be market driven. In fact, you can't really have this conversation until you have something that you know the market wants. Right? So that's really the starting point. And so what you're doing is you're separating what you're coming to the market to with your why. Right? Because to some degree, if you're teaching somebody, let's say, how to do weight loss, right? There's a lot of weight loss products out there. There are a lot of people on teaching how to do keto. But what makes yours different? It's your why. It'll be the why you're creating, why your business exists. And basically, you know what this does? When you start talking about why you're doing what you're doing, it takes you out of competition with, let's say, all the other keto marketers, all the other Facebook marketers, all the other, RV marketers. Takes you out of all that competition, not competing with anybody, because you have a reason that your business is still out here. Let's see, I put that, I think this slides in here twice. So let me, I'm going to slide out of this. So let me I'm going to do that for the recording. And let me slide through this. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Go one step further with why for more connection, right? You got to go deeper. So I'm saying go deeper than just what Simon Sinek says. Go one step deeper. You got to talk about why your why is your why. Now that part's not going to connect with everybody, but it's going to connect with some people. And in most cases, it's going to come from some kind of negative experience. So in other words, the reason you look at the world the way you do, the reason you're in business has a why, right? So basically, why did that happen? Why did you come to that conclusion? Whatever that is, you need to state that too. Right? And typically it happens because, I don't know, sometimes it happens because something happened in your childhood. Something happened in high school. Something happened in college, or, people ridiculed you or something like that. Or you lost a job for some reason. Typically, that the why you have, that second level of why, you need to be able to state that also. Sometimes that's the scary part. We don't like to do that because that's a little too self-revelatory. And we don't necessarily want to go that deep and be with people. But you need to do it. You need to say it. Some people are going to say, you know what? She's just like me. If you used to be a cubicle rat and you used to be in a corporate office and you resonate with that and you start talking about something that happened to you inside of a cubicle when you went to your corporate job, you need to be able to talk about that moment. You need to be able to talk about that because it contributes to your why. Again, you got to go and reveal why the why is your why, right? Go one step deep. Now, I'm not saying, please don't go revealing gory details, right? Don't go telling your whole business, and don't reveal irrelevant details, right? Just think of how it connects with your market. Think of how it connects with your buyer. Think of how it connects with your product. Don't just connect why, but also do when, right? We're talking about making that personal connection, not just why, but when. What were the circumstances that led you gaining the understanding that you're teaching now, right? So when did it happen? I want you to think about to that minute where you decided on a core, whatever your core principles are, you decided it at some point. What made you, what were the circumstances that made you believe that? Was it something that happened? Was it something you learned and your eyes were open? What led to this big understanding? Why? How did you get there? You need to be able to think about that moment and state it, right? If you need to write some of this down when you're going through this training again, write it down. Write down what that big how you came to that big understanding. Did you get some kind of big revelation or reveal? When you can, talk about that moment. Talk about the moment everything changed for you. The moment everything started to change for you. The moment you started thinking differently. What was that minute? So think of, what was that minute? See, all of the AI content can't do that. That personal connection you're going to establish with people. You're going to reach through, you are literally going to reach through the computer screen. You're going to reach outside of the pages of that book. You are going to reach through that webinar. You're going to reach through that mobile device, and you will have that person. You will have them, and they won't even know why you have them. You will have them because they heard, they used to be in a corporate office too. And they know what it was like having having all the crazy goings on with corporate offices. Then depending on how old you are, you may know of it. There's a movie called Office Space that's going on 30 years, I think, 20 or 30 years. And if you see the comments that people make about Office Space, and some of the language in there is a little troublesome, but Office Space is one of those movies that connects with people at such a deep level because a lot of people have been in a corporate office, have been in a cubicle, and they understand it. They think, boy, this really spoke to me. Even though it's 20 years old, it continues to speak to me. And so that's the kind of connection you got to make with people. You got to let them know that you have this minute, and you got to describe it. You got to give them a vision of it. And so if you can give them that vision of it, they'll know you know them. They'll know you get them because you just described something that's in their psyche, and you will have connected to them at such a deep place, and you will. And when you start talking about what you're selling, it'll be almost academic. You got to connect with them at that level. Now, there are people who will be able to relate to the period of time that things change for you, right? And so you got to be able to do some of this from the perspective of your marketing, right? And this will separate you from the people in your niche. Focus on connecting and not just competing. When you weave in your personal story, you're no longer comparable to anybody else in the marketplace. And this does not mean you can't meet what the market is demanding. You still have to give the market what it wants. So whatever the market really does want, if the market is demanding a specific product on a specific subject to help them with a specific problem, you bring that to the market. I'm not saying you don't. You still have to come with those minimums. But at the same time, you know what you can't do? You can't react to everything the market's doing. So-and-so's out there and they just started a Facebook group. So you feel like, oh man, I got to start a Facebook group. Or so-and-so just started a LinkedIn group. Oh boy, I got to go start a LinkedIn group. That's really the place to be. Or so-and-so just started a 7-day challenge. Well, I got to do a 7-day challenge too. No, you don't. Right? What you got to do is connect with people, and you got to give them what they want, but you got to give it to them your way. You got to adjust based on your own mission, right? And how you see what do you see that needs to be done in your sub-niche, right? And you got to start talking about it. What's wrong with the market right now? Can you defy the market? Defy it. You must defy all the trends. I don't care what the trends are. If you believe in your heart, listen, give people what they're actually wanting. If people want to know, let's say, how to do Facebook ads, you don't not bring them Facebook ads, but you must defy the market in terms of what it says about Facebook ads. You must defy the market. You can't just go to the market with everything else that everybody else is saying. You bring the market what it wants, but you must defy everybody else with what it is you believe. And you know what? You don't do any extra. You don't go and do all this and, start trying to figure out how you're going to do all this extra time. Nope. Just put a line or two into your weekly workshop. Just gonna drop a few lines in there, here and there. Every so often, you're going to talk about it in your daily email. I'm not talking about redoing this. Now, you could drop some of this in your Kindle book, right? You can put some of this in your blog. I'm saying as you come and go, just going to drop little clues of your personal story. Just going to drop little nuggets, little breadcrumbs. You're going to drop them in there. And you're just going to continue to do that every day. Every day. If your marketing involves a daily email, a podcast, a video, then all those things should have, or in a social media post, all those things should have something in there that brings people back to that personal connection. You got to connect with people from your deep place where they can connect to you. Let's talk about when to do this, right? So again, please don't please don't go dump all this stuff on people, right? That's not the idea here. What you do want to do is share part of your story in your training. When you're doing the weekly workshop, do a little bit of this. Connect with people. Do a little bit, like I said, in your podcast, your blog posts, your videos. Now, again, don't make the whole blog post about this. But sometimes, right, put it in there. You're going to find it most easy to do if you're emailing daily, which you should be. I hope you are. Do it in your daily newsletter. Just little bits and pieces that give people it lets people know you really connect with them and you really do have this unique perspective. It's not like anybody else, and you're making a sense of the world through your own eyes. In some cases, it's going to make sense to do it even on your sales page. And you're going to see this on a lot of sales pages, right? You get down to maybe about the fourth part, right? First of all, you get the headline. Second of all, you get the problem, you get the agitate, and then after you get to problem and agitate, then there's something along the lines of empathy, right? You get that empathy paragraph or the bullets, and that empathy paragraph typically goes something like this. I used to be, working a 9 to 5, or I used to be 700 pounds, or I used to be emotionally traumatized, or I used to be a coach who needed a coach. It doesn't matter, right? But you get to that point in your sales page, in every sales page, and that person has some empathy in there. Please put it in your sales pages, right? Always connect with people at that level, right? Connect with people in that way. And naturally, it definitely should be in your webinars, because the webinars, when you're selling and you're pitching, you definitely need to make that connection. Now, when you're doing direct response, you're doing a webinar, then you need to pitch, right? And pitch, really, you got to make the personal connection, as I said. So, if you're doing a sales webinar, please don't not do direct response. That's a good place for direct response. That's when you do it. Do you have a marketing system or a sales system, right? And okay, so let's see. Nope, I'm not going to go beyond that. Let's see. I'm gonna stop there. All right. So I think that is it. Okay. Are there any questions? Any questions? Let's see. Let me go back here. And oh boy, let me see if I got my glasses here. Yeah. So Karen, Craig says building a tribe based on open, honest, transparent digital marketing. Yeah. I mean, as transparent as you can be. Be connected to what you're selling, right? Be connected, but be transparent. That's exactly right. All right. Any other questions? Okay. So David says, how would I connect? How would I apply this to local marketing space? Great question. So one of the reasons why, I'll take myself, for example. I'll tell you why I want to do things in my local market. There are two reasons. One, everything that was significant, in my coming up came from a local business. And so our insurance agent, the reason I still buy State Farm today was because we had a local insurance agent. The reason, the reason I still connect with things like getting my hair cut and all those other things, all those experiences came from local businesses. And I know if they're going to make it and they're not going to be swallowed up by Amazon, they need help. And so that's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing the things that I'm doing. That's why I want them to be profitable. I want them to learn how to sell information so that in some cases, they can be just like Amazon. If they can sell information, they might be able to weather a storm and compete when they can't compete on price because Amazon's going to drive them out the market, right? And so basically, that's one reason how I would make the connection at my local market. That's a personal connection for me. And so you want to be able to say, why do you want to help these local businesses? right? And so if you can connect with why you want to help them, and you can go one step further and talk about why that's so important to you. Why is it so important to you that you help these local businesses? If you can answer that question at those two levels and state that, I think people will connect with that when you start really teaching and you do. So in other words, to recap, why do you want to help them? Why are you, let's say, are you creating, if you're giving them services or products, why are you here? Why are you here to sell this to them? And then you also want to be able to say, well, why is that important to you? Why is that important to you, David? Right? So those are the two levels of why that I would approach in terms of local. Okay, and so let me know if that helps you, Dave. I'm going to read Gail's question. So Gail says, you said to learn one traffic and then another. What's your main traffic source right now and why? Okay, so I have two. My main traffic source right now is email and affiliate marketing. And so, I'm sorry, email and affiliates. And so probably my second most productive source is YouTube. And so I've got to focus on YouTube. I just have not had as much time. And so one of the reasons that we kind of shifted to doing more in terms of giving affiliates something of quality to promote was because that was just what the market was saying, was that, well, hey, we'd promote more if there was more. And so this year I did less training and I did more providing the affiliates something that would give them the opportunity to promote something that would bring us the kind of customer that we really wanted, right? Because if you know me, right, you know me well, I don't necessarily last very long with people who have to get rich tomorrow, right? So there was a certain marketer that approached me about promoting their product yesterday, and I probably could have made a lot of money had I promoted it, but it's really incongruent because it's really about, first of all, it's about the make money online market, and second of all, it's probably about getting richer faster than people are going to be able to. And so I didn't. And so I have decided that this year that, first of all, I would focus in on making sure that people would have enough to create a membership area. And second of all, then affiliates would have something that they could send in enough volume that they would be able to bring us the customers that we really want. Because we probably, if you're here, right, if you're watching this, you're probably not of the belief that you're going to be able to get rich quick tomorrow. And that's on purpose. So there's no get rich quick copy there's no get rich language in our copy, zero. And I took it out of there on purpose. Now so the reason for that is I don't want the customer that would believe that, right? So anybody that thinks they're going to get rich tomorrow, they're just going to, do one thing and they're going to just, I took all that out. So to answer your question, Gail, it is, let's say affiliate marketing, YouTube, and email. So probably affiliate marketing, YouTube, and then email in that order. And let me see. Let me go back here and answer the other questions. Okay, so George's question is, being an educator offering a weekly workshop, how do you build the audience? So you first start by building an archive, and so the archive comes before you start sending people in great numbers, because I say you need an archive of about at least 4 weeks. I think you should really have 12 weeks in your archive, and it should be dated. It should say March 14th, March 7th, March 14th, March 21st, March 28th, and then April 7th, April 14th, April 21st, April 28th, then May 7th. So in other words, I think there should be 12 weeks. And so the archive come first. Secondly, then you're going to either get the traffic, and it's really based on who you want to sell to. If you're going to sell inside of the make money online market, right? You're going to sell in the JV Zoo Warrior Plus world, then most of your traffic is going to come from affiliates. That means then you're going to have to do a product launch of things that affiliates are going to sell, right? So now, if you are going to work outside of the make money online market, then you're going to have to go where people are congregating on your subject. For example, in a local area, you can do Meetup. On a more international area, what I have done in the past is I have done training for multi-level marketers. I have done training for big marketers. So where a big marketer has this big group, they typically don't have time to do the training, and I have done the training for them. I'm always looking for opportunities where I can come in and do the training for somebody that doesn't have the time to do it. And basically the deal is this: I do the training for you for free, and then you then allow me at the end to then ask those people to come onto my list. And basically I build my list. I started out building my list that way. I trained for multi-level marketers. I trained for big marketers, and they just sent that traffic over to me. I did it for a long time. It was a thankless job, but that's how the list grew. And so you can come in contact with people just kind of based on who or where you want to position. Now, if you want to position outside the make money online market, you have to find areas where people are congregating already. And the easiest way to do that is to train for somebody who already has an audience. Train them on something that you know they want to learn from, and then you're going to ask those people to come over to your list. Definitely, YouTube, right? And YouTube, you're going to be doing your titles based on the topics that you know your sub niche is going to want to learn about. So, if you're going to be talking to dog walkers, you're going to title your videos on YouTube specifically for dog walkers. You're going to start doing keyword searches for dog walkers, and you're going to start creating your YouTube video content for dog walkers. You might want to then learn how to do the YouTube method. But basically, you find areas where people are congregating. In a local area, if you're in the United States, it's pretty easy because Meetup will congregate those people. Now, it does cost you, right? So I think it's $19.99 a month, and they will congregate that audience for you, and you can do a workshop for that audience, right? So even in, let me see. Now, I'm going to edit this out of the recording, so don't worry about this. I'm just going to say this now. Even here in Harrisburg, right? And Harrisburg is in the middle of nowhere. I mean, we're home of the farm show. And I haven't done enough with it, but we've got meetups of, we've got 400 people in the meetup. And, I wish I had somebody who had time to do the training for me, right? That would go in, that was from Central PA, and they could do it. My point is, you could, in your local area, start a business group on anything, right? Meetup will congregate congregate that audience for you. So basically so to answer your question, George, build an archive. Then you obviously you're going to use your own social media, and then start looking for groups where people are already congregating in your sub market. So wherever that audience is already congregating, and you can go in and do training and invite people onto your list, you want to find those groups of people and invite them over. Any multi-level marketer, any one of them. Most of them don't know how to train. And now, if you're a multi-level marketer and you're listening to this, please don't be offended, right? I'm not trying to offend you. I'm just saying they were always willing to let me train because they didn't want to do it. right? They want to train people on internet marketing and building web pages and doing email lists. They want to train all that stuff. I'm perfectly fine with it. And so that's what I did, right? So you can do it that way also. Okay, so George, let me know if that answered your question. Let's see. So Craig said example for David. Yeah, so David says, I was at the local mall and last year and I saw this one issue and I thought, boy, there's got to be a way to fix that. Yeah, being able to talk about that, right? Let's see, Karen's question, he said, regarding having your own learning center, would like your thoughts on having an app? I think that's great, right? Would be an all-inclusive site accessible via mobile, tablet, and desktop. I think I think the challenge is, Karen, that you gotta really get a lot of, you gotta build a lot of trust to get that person to put that app on their phone. Because most people are like app full, right? And so, they have to move something off sometimes to put that app on there. Now, if you can build that level of trust, I think it's a great idea, but I definitely think you should have a website also, which I'm sure you're gonna do, right? I know that's what you're gonna do, but going the next step of getting an app, it takes a lot to get that person to say they're gonna put that app on there, right? But again, I think that if you're talking about adding it on to having a membership site, I think yes. One of the benefits that we have found with using Teachable to deliver the PLR is because, this year I really wanted people to be able to, and I just talked to someone, it's kind of interesting because he wrote in and he said, well, man, Charles, most of the stuff I don't really need to use PLR. I really need to know how I need to really learn some of this stuff, which is a good point. And everything that we've done, we've designed so that people who didn't want to use a PLR could go in and watch it on Teachable, right? So that's really why we went through the hassle of putting it on Teachable, because people can get the mobile app, they can watch it offline, and they can watch all the videos from a course, right, on a Teachable app. And so, yeah, I could have created my own app, but I thought, boy, it's going to be hard to get somebody to get that app on there, and I didn't know whether I could justify the expense. Now, here's what I'll say about that. If I remember your niche a little better, I think that you may have an easier time getting people to put an app on their phone just based on what I know about your niche, right? I think that you, because an app is kind of like a really intimate thing, right? You're like literally on people's phone. And so it really takes a lot to really get that level of trust where I'm going to put you on my phone. But I think that if I remember your niche, that could be possible for you, right? Okay, let me go through more questions. Let me see. Right. Okay. Yep. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, Craig. We took all the get rich quick copy out of our. Now that doesn't mean that if somebody knows how to get rich quick, they're more than welcome to use our PLR. I mean, if somebody I don't want I don't want them to use it that way, but I will say, what, if somebody has a way and they can make $1 million tomorrow with our PLR and they know how to do it, I say go for it, right? And you can certainly use our videos to teach people. So I'm not against anybody buying. I'm saying that I don't want anybody to come to us with unrealistic expectations. And so again, now I promote people who have got copy on their pages, right? Because I know what their content's about, and I don't judge them. It's just I don't do it, and it's one of the things that we do that's different. Okay, let me see, David. Right, yeah. It's a lot of businesses are hurting in the local area, and so so people, and yeah, not everybody. And look, I personally have been just kind of lamenting the fact that, you know, these big social media companies have gotten us to accept that they're not going to do customer service, right? And somehow or another, they've gotten us to accept it, and I don't like it. And so, you know, when a local business still has to do customer service. And so that's another reason why, you know, if I can help a local business stay in business, I'm going to do it, because I don't accept that we have to accept that algorithms have to drive everything, and I don't get to talk to anybody. I don't have to like that. And that's another reason why I would be willing to, so that's a personal reason for me to want to help business, right? Say a small local business. So when you connect to people at that personal why you like it. Yeah, so Gail, when I say YouTube, I'm talking about creating creating YouTube videos about PLR and putting them up there. Now, I need to do a better job at optimizing. So I know that, and I haven't done that. And I bought a course from a guy, and boy, he kind of gave me what for. He said, I don't like this content. You gotta, you know, Charles, you gotta, and you know, I do have to do it his way. I do a lot of live training, and I make my live training available. And a lot of people have found us in the past based on the live training we had on YouTube. So you know, I could probably stand to be more sensitive to the kind of traffic that YouTube sends, but I've had success just by putting our live content on YouTube and getting those additional customers that YouTube sends. So some of it really is kind of finding a happy medium, because if I take time away from creating courses to the kind of time that it's going to take to be keyword optimized, I don't get the same bang for my time. I find that my time is better spent figuring out what people need to have in a learning center and creating that for them, right? So my whole mission is really about making sure people have a continuity product, because I know what that means to an online business if you have one. And so the number one thing that stops people from having a continuity product is having enough good stuff in it. And if you're going to keep people beyond the 3 months, you got to have enough good stuff in it to keep them. And so everything that we've done since 2020 is give people enough stuff to put in there so that you can get them and keep them, right? Because I know what a continuity payment, even if it's $4.95 every month, doesn't matter what it is, that'll change your online business. I know what that'll do. And so we've done that. We've helped people to do that. And so I don't want to spend the time that it would take for me to have great keyword optimized videos to not produce enough courses for people to have, right? Okay, so yeah, so David said, yeah, the weekly show will definitely help with that. It will definitely help with that, David. So you got to get out there and you got to be saying it. You, in addition to doing the teaching, yeah, you got to be telling them why you're doing it. Exactly. All right, looking forward to it, George. For real, for real. Yeah, Karen. So Teachable does have, they do have an app. I mean, it's not robust, but it's functional. So sometimes if you're gonna have a lot of if you're gonna have courses, you know, it can be the difference between, you know, not having not having a paper app for an app, and you know, you might want to, you know, okay, testing. I kicked my mic out. Can everybody hear me? I kicked my mic out of my computer. Okay, sorry about that. Oh boy. Okay, thank you. Okay, so it looks like that's the last of the questions, so I hope that this has been helpful for you. And obviously, now if you're an Ultimate Insider, you already have the New Marketer Workshop, so you don't have to get it. But if you don't, right, and you're watching this, I invited everybody to it. You can get it this weekend at a special price. So you can get it at plrshow.com at this address, and you can use that code in there, and you can get it. Right? Now, if you're an Ultimate Insider, please do not go buy this. You already have it. If you don't see it, write me in support, and I will make sure that you get it. This is the PLR version of this. This is session number 51, and we have one more session and then a wrap-up session. And so this weekend, instead of launching, what I'm going to do is start to edit up the sessions. So I'm going to spend this weekend editing up the sessions and catch up, so that by the time we get to session 53, then everything will be ready for you to use as PLR. So, so you've got about 2 or 3 weeks. You can still get this. Now, this offer is only going to be available, I think, till Tuesday, maybe Monday. So you can get that at the plrshow.com/TNMW combo. Once again, if you are an Ultimate Insider and you do not have this as PLR, then just write me in support. It's part of your membership. Okay, let's see. I got a question from Karen. Okay, what platform did? Yeah, so yeah, there are a couple of ways to go, Karen. We have a platform that you can use as an Ultimate Insider. I would suggest you test it. I think in some limited cases, I use Teachable, so I'm okay with Teachable. And if you like WordPress, then you got to do a little work. But you can use WordPress and BuddyBoss and LearnDash. There's a combination of things. So yeah, so I would test the Ultimate Insider platform, see if you like it, see if you can work with it. Like there's a little course in there. I think it's about 30 minutes long, and you can kind of test drive it, and you can do that. Now, what I'll say, I think there's a guy who is an Ultimate Insider. He's releasing his own platform, and I'm going to be taking a look at that this weekend. So I think he's releasing it on Monday. So then there's that also. So yeah, but other than that, I would also say that I'm obviously fine with Teachable, but I went with Teachable because it does some things uniquely for PLR that I could not do with any other platform. So I would say that if you're not delivering PLR, you don't have specific reasons, you may not necessarily need to have what Teachable does. Although it's a decent platform. Obviously, I'm okay with it because I use it, and I'm not going any place. I'm not going to get another platform. I'm not looking to switch. It's fine for me, and yeah, so I use it because of it allows for downloads and for video streaming, so, pretty much. And so I've had my account my Dropbox account throttled when I have a launch, and a lot of people hit the links at the same time. And so I'm done with that. And so I switched over to Teachable for that reason. All right, any other questions? Appreciate your questions, Karen. All right, very good, very good, very good, Karen. Appreciate that. Okay, everybody, well, thank you very much for hanging out with us here. Appreciate you all. I will see you next week, which will be session number 52, which is technically our last session, but we will be wrapping up with section number 53. Remember, this is open to the public, right? So if you don't have New Marketer Workshop, the place that you can get it is the plrshow.com/TNMW combo. Get that with this code, and you'll be able to get a special price this weekend only. Have a great night and a pleasant tomorrow. Take care.